What's up, guys? This is Bobby Douglas, and we are back again today with another 2020 NBA Draft Prospect full game video breakdown. And today we're going to be looking at Washington forward Jaden McDaniels. McDaniels definitely had an up and down year at Washington. This is his first game of the year we're going to watch against Baylor, where he played very well, had 18 points and 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks in 33 minutes. But again, a very up and down year. I think his shooting percentages are very indicative of that. He only finished the year shooting 41% from the floor and 34% from three. You look at him, and he's a guy who, in November, December, early January, he was being talked about as a potential top 10 pick, even a sleeper for number 1 overall. And then conference play hit. Washington just totally fell off a cliff as a team. McDaniels really struggled, and now there are some executives who are worried about taking him in the first round at all. So definitely an up and down year. A lot of people are all over the board with him. Now, right in this moment, I have Jaden McDaniels at 19th in my big board. So just inside the top 20, I still really like his upside and skill set as a 6'9", basically a 6'9" guard. So I do like that overall skill set that he brings. I think he shoots the ball with fluidity. I think he dribbles the ball with fluidity. I think that type of talent, that type of combination of talent and size is rare to come by. So I do gravitate towards those types of prospects. But again, there are a lot of concerns about his motor, his attitude, things about him on the court and off the court. So, a lot of question marks with McDaniels. Again, I do like his overall upside as a prospect. It's just going to be a matter of him figuring it out at the NBA level. So with that, let's get into it. Again, this is the game against Baylor. It's part of the Armed Forces Classic, and he played very well in this game. He had 18 points, 8 rebounds. Funny thing about this game, I actually bet this game. I was pretty high on Washington coming into this year for college basketball, and so I bet this game. I got Washington at plus 190, and they won by 3 points after they were down by like 13 earlier in the game. So I was very happy about this game. But yeah, so let's just sit back and watch it. So he's going to be number 4 in the purple. Jaden McDaniels. And remember, this is Washington's first game of the year, so, there's going to be a lot of sloppy play, a lot of turnovers, things like that. And this is Baylor's second game of the year, but their first game was against a negligible opponent, so here we go. So McDaniels is number 4. And again, 6'9", only 200 pounds. He's very skinny. Definitely going to need to put on more strength. So right there, you saw he kind of got pushed off his spot by Davion Mitchell for Baylor. And again, Washington will play this 2-3 zone a lot. And look so they have McDaniels at the top of the zone. And at 6'9" with that length, he's going to be able to bother people. But again, I do think he's a pretty quick athlete. I think if you're going to really unlock him, I think he could be a really good defender because he's really long, moves his feet well on defense. But again, the effort just really wasn't that consistent this year, and that's ultimately the biggest worry, just his mindset and things like that. So we got a foul there. And there's Jared Butler knocking down that 3. I have him as a later first-round prospect. I think 29th, my big board, but and again, a lot of what happened with Washington is that Quade Green got ruled academically ineligible or in around the middle of the season, and then that was when Washington just really started to slip. They ended up finishing last, I think, in the Pac-12, so really just not a good ending to that season, especially for a team that really had a lot of talent. Decent job contesting on that shot. Jaden McDaniels almost reminds me of a Cam Reddish, especially coming out of college and into the NBA. Remember, the knock on Cam Reddish was that he wasn't a really efficient shooter. People really worried about his shot in the NBA. People worried about his motor, his attitude, things like that. Cam Reddish actually turned out okay. I mean, there's reason to be encouraged with the way he ended his rookie season. And so I think Jaden McDaniels is pretty comparable to that, at least from a narrative level heading into the draft. Good job staying in front of, I think that was Davion Mitchell right there. Ultimately forced him to lose the ball. And again, when he wants to be, I think he can be a very good defender, especially if he puts on weight. Because right now he's 6'9", 200 pounds, which is very light. And you could obviously see that in his build. It looks like Brandon Ingram at Duke. But yeah, I think when he wants to be, I think he can be a really, really talented defender. Because again, that length is going to be really problematic. And plus, if he can switch on to guards just without even thinking twice about it, I think that's going to be a major win for him. So yeah, travel right here. And again, he was a guy, McDaniels. He was a McDonald's All-American, all the high school accolades he would wanted. Stayed home. He played high school basketball in Washington. Has an older brother who I think is either on a two-way contract with the Hornets or he is in the G League. I think he plays for the Greensboro Swarm. I'm not 100% sure about that. But again, so he has athletic bloodlines, obviously. I think his brother played at San Diego State. But Jaden definitely was the better prospect at this stage than Jaden. Or Jaden then Jalen, obviously. But and so really right now, he's actually probably more equipped to handle guarding 1 through 3 than he is 4 and 5, even though he's, again, 6'9". And once he puts on more strength, I do think he'll be, a little bit more viable guarding 4s. But I think if you put him in a post-up situation, like, that's pretty much game over. I don't think he'll be able to defend that. And again, Washington pretty much plays their entire season in zone defense, so you're not really going to see a whole lot of him in man coverage, which is fine, but just it's harder to read him defensively. I don't think he's taken a shot yet on offense. But crashed the glass there. Couldn't really come up with it. Ran into a wall of Baylor defenders. But so again, just look at what happens when he is like engaged and active on defense. If he puts his arms up and things, how can you even see over that? And so a lot of people maybe will be saying like, oh, why do you have such a difference between Isaiah Stewart and Jaden McDaniels? Why is Jaden McDaniels so much higher? Well, Isaiah Stewart probably the better college player. And I'm going to answer that with a simple fact. Isaiah Stewart and Jaden McDaniels are the same height. They're both 6'9". What skill set would you rather have in an NBA player? Would you rather have a back to the basket big guy, or would you rather have a guy who can dribble, shoot, move, guard on the perimeter with a lot more ease than Isaiah Stewart? I value the wings. I value the skills. I value dribbling, shooting, passing, those types of things more than back to the basket bigs. That's just the way I grew up kind of but I grew up just kind of, valuing that type of player more than a back to the basket big. And then the NBA definitely has backed that up for me. So again, like Isaiah Stewart was a better college player, I think, but I think Jaden McDaniels' NBA game is NBA skills are a lot more evident than they are with Isaiah Stewart. Right there, he did a good job getting that block from behind. So he's in the corner right now. He's going to run off a screen. See what he does here. So again, that's a really nice fluid release. Came off the screen well, set his feet well, and knocked down the open three. Only shot 34% from three this year, but again, I do buy his form. Again, 76% from the free throw line, which is pretty solid. So I don't really worry a whole lot about the shot. I feel like he might be one of those guys who really struggles initially with the NBA range, but then in year 3 or 4, he could become a knockdown three-point shooter. Another block from McDaniels. That time he just swatted it. Ooh. There's Mark Vital with a block on the other end. That time he kind of was a little bit lazy in the help, but it was kind of a half-hearted effort helping the ball, but managed to do enough. And we'll see this a little bit today, too. I also really like his off-the-dribble game. So, you see a lot of the guards, right? You see Damian Lillard, Steph Curry being able to just, rise and fire off the dribble, right? Jaden McDaniels has that, and at 6'9", that's a really valuable skill. You look at guys like Kevin Durant, who has that ability at a taller position. You have Brandon Ingram, who's the same thing. So you look at Cam Reddish, and he can definitely... You look at, Jaden McDaniels, and he definitely has that... He definitely has that property in his game. Not super efficient, but rarely in college those guys aren't, or rarely in college these types of guys are. And again, Jaden McDaniels is still growing into his body. I mean, look how skinny his arms are. That's gonna all take a little bit of time to unlock. But I think his ceiling might be one of the highest in the drafts if he figures it all out. And again, if you're gonna get him at, late teens, or even maybe the second round, according to some people, I would take that over most of these prospects. Now, I'm not aware of how bad he comes off the court or on the court in terms of his attitude. I just heard that nobody really seems to like his attitude a whole lot. So obviously that's going to matter a lot too. But again, that talent is just so enticing to take in the first round, I think. That was a dumb foul from him. I don't know what he was thinking there. He was walking back, and then he just put his arms up and just kind of hip checked it. Game. So now he's in the second level of the zone, so he's not on top anymore. And so he's playing on a wing. But again, Washington's 2-3 zone, you'll see this a lot with Syracuse too. They'll send the corner guys in the zone up to almost give a trap on any wing. So right there, again, the rise and fire. See, that's a good shot. You know what I mean? Not an efficient shot selection, but again, just the way it looks very fluid, very natural to him. And so I think that's really valuable because, he's 6'9", and he does that better than a Tyrese Halliburton, for example, who I have 3 on my big board. So again, in terms of just rising and firing off the dribble, I think that's one of the biggest swing skills you could have in the NBA. I think if you could do that at a decent level, I do think that's a ticket into the NBA just by doing that alone. And if Jaden McDaniels can have that, it puts a leg up with him over a lot of the other players in the draft. We got media time out here, so I'll skip this. So again, he's in right here. That's another foul. So that's his second foul already, which is tough. And then I believe he comes out here for a few minutes. Just got to double check. 27-23 comes out, and it is 27-23. So I will skip ahead to 36 minutes in, and he comes back in here. So again, he's in and he's back playing on top of the zone. Out for a pretty good chunk of time right there. It looked like around 5 minutes. But again, with those 2 fouls in the first half, they're risking right now playing him. That looks like... Ooh. Looks like it could have been... Washington ball there, but don't know what's going on here. But, so McDaniels on the ball again. Like, that's a really tough pass to make over a guy like him. So that's where he really is enticing on defense. It just the motor needs to be there a little bit more. And the zone masks a lot of defensive deficiencies, right? So, he doesn't really have to give a whole lot of effort on defense, especially if you're playing on the top, because you have guys behind you. Travel. I think that's by is that? I don't know who 10 is. Washington's a program too. We talk about teams that always seem to have a lot of talent, but just never really play up to that talent level. Washington's definitely one of those types of teams. I mean, look at obviously Markel Fultz in college. They had Matisse Thybulle back then as well, who went first round last year. DeJounte Murray, Marquise Chris, obviously, and then McDaniels and Isaiah Stewart, 2 5-star guys. They bring in a lot of talent. They just can never really seem to figure it out with the right pieces. I think Mike Hopkins is certainly a better coach than Lorenzo Romar was, but still, this season was a really big disappointment, I think, in Washington's book. And I think you can attribute that a lot to Quade Green's absence, but still, to just totally fall off a cliff because of him, that's not acceptable in my opinion. But I do like the direction Washington's going in. It's just, in terms of recruiting. But these guys are figuring it out a little bit more. Last year was their best team, and you could argue that was their least talented group. You had Jalen Noel there. You had, they had that big guy, too. I forget his name. They had Matisse, obviously. You got so again, McDaniels in the zone. Good job fighting for that rebound right there. I'm looking up that Washington guy that they had last year who I really liked. Hang on, give me a minute as I look this guy up. I think it was Noah Dickerson. Was that it? I just remembered it now. Yes, Noah Dickerson was his name. He was a good player. So again, that was like their least talented group in the last 3 or 4 years, and that was probably their most successful group as well. Good job feeding Stewart there. Looked like, again, right there, looked good. Did a good job kind of baiting the defense with his eyes, getting to the middle, and just kind of looking for a point of attack. I would have liked to see him maybe throw up a little floater right there because I do think he had that as an option. But again, he decided to dump it down to Isaiah Stewart for a little lob pass, which isn't a bad decision, but, I think I'd maybe like to see the floater a little bit more. So Jaden McDaniels, again, didn't really close out or anything there. Swooped in, grabbed the rebound. We got a foul here, so I'll skip ahead. And I don't know what that was from Green, but... So McDaniels now, it's like, see what Washington does. It's almost like a 3-2 with how high up the wings play. And it looked like McDaniels was basically playing the top of that, which I actually really like for him as a role. See, right there, you saw the effortless behind-the-back dribble right there. And seamlessly, that is the type of play why I love Jaden McDaniels as a prospect. That upside is really rare to see in somebody his size. Again, that was a really seamless behind-the-back dribble right into a off-the-dribble jump shot, and he drilled it. That, you can't teach that. You know what I mean? So that's something that I really, really like about his game. Grab that rebound right there. Now he's going to push it. Again, he can push the floor as well. That's something he can do. with his handling ability. He needs to work on his decision making, but that's not a product of his weak handle or weak skills. It's just a matter of just reading the floor like a guard a little bit more, making the right passes, knowing when to stop a drive, things like that are more of his. It's more instinctual rather than skill based, I should say. Got travel there. Yeah, I don't know what the. So again, Washington in the zone, and again, it's really hard to evaluate people defensively in the zone. But at least McDaniels has the potential to be somewhat of a disruptor. You see right there, he just totally let. I think that's that's Davion Mitchell. He totally just let him backdoor him, which is fine because in the zone, like that's not his responsibility. And again, so it's really, I think it's harder to judge people defensively when they're in a zone than a man. But what are you gonna do? It's pretty much what you got. Again, right there, good dribble. It's a very tight handle for his size. That could have been a skip. That could have been a swing pass. Made a 3, but that could have been a swing pass to McDaniels in the corner. But again, he looks relatively active in the zone. You know what I mean? He's moving his feet well. He's adjusting to every single ball position. I mean, and stuff like that is encouraging. But again, towards the end of the year, it started to get a little bit less intense for him. It started to get a little more lazy and things like that. And again, a lot of that could be a product of just the team not finding success, but still it's concerning to an NBA draft evaluator. It's a good play from Jared Butler. Oh, they get called for a travel. Ooh. It's funny though. I was watching this game very very intensely though. So I did have money on it, and I was just really pulling for Washington here. And then it's funny because this year probably Baylor's going to be my preseason national champ if Jared Butler stays. So that's just another funny thing. That's tough. That's a weak rotation from McDaniels. He got lucky, but again, it looked like he got a little bit lost there. He went towards the side, went towards the corner when he should have been rotating towards the wing to cut off that shot. I think we got a review, so I'm gonna fast forward through all this. Really, really impressive move right there, but again, led to the charge. That's against Mark Vital, who's just like a charge taking extraordinaire. So, but again, you saw the dribble move, you saw the handles right there. Again, he kind of can shake defenders off the dribble on the perimeter. And again, that's just like kind of knowing your personnel and not really lowering your shoulder there. But that's it for him in the first half. I think he got his 3rd foul right there. So he's done for the first half. I'll end the first half video here. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you for the second half of this game where McDaniels definitely plays better and he actually pretty much spurs a Washington run to help him get back in this game. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And we will see you for that video.